show you how to create a new user in your Vela OS system. So you need to create a user for people to access the system. Typically, users are associated with employees, and you would create them when you set up an employee, but they don't have to be. For example, if you've yet to migrate over your employment section and HR section onto Vela, you can create users for your teams to use the system from a supply, cash, production perspective without having onboarded the HR section. So that would be one example. Another example might be creating a maintenance user that your maintenance contractor can log in and check all of the maintenance logs and action them. So there are two ways to create a user in Vela OS. The first one, which I've already shown you, but I'll just remind you, is when you create a new employee. So in this instance, I will have entered all of my details, and under here, user info, I will have created a new user. Now remember, it's really important to stick to a system. So whether that's first name, last initial, or first initial, last name, or whichever system you want to use, but just for your own simplicity really, stick to a system. At Double Puck, we use first initial, last name. And then you allocate the system preferences for that user. And then you would tick save. So that's one way to do it. If you've already created a user for a person and you want to associate that user with a new employee file, you can actually select it here. Okay. Now, the other way to create a user, i.e. if you don't want to run the HR system just yet, is to click on Manage Users. And in this scenario, you can click Create New User, and you enter the user name, their email address, their telephone number. These two things are important if they forget their passwords. Select a home store for that user. Set them up with a password, which they'll be asked to change when they log in for the first time. And finally, if that user has got sort of org admin responsibilities and access, namely around the employee section, then you should definitely enable two-factor authentication. I mean, two-factor authentication is the best approach anyway from a data security perspective. At Double Puck, we click two-factor authentication on for everyone, but it's a definite must if they're a user admin. So I would just tick it there and then create user. And then that information is saved and you can just send that person an email saying, I've created you a new user on your Vela OS. Here's your information. And that is how you create new users on Vela OS.